order on April 22nd at 1 p.m. Joining us is our committee members, Harry Walker and myself, constitutes a quorum. Lola Garcia will likely be joining us for circumstances permit. I'd also would like to acknowledge that John Moss, John Corlett, and Dr. Alexander are joining the room as well. And also want to remind all of us that this meeting is being live streamed via YouTube. So to our worldwide audience, we are glad you're here today. Our first item of business is to seek approval of the minutes of our January 28th, 2026 meeting. Do I hear a motion, Dr. Walker, to approve the minutes as written? I would second that motion. It's moved and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, the motion stands passed by acclamation then, since we both members approved and seconded. Second item on our agenda is our information items. And I would say the most important element are the consideration of education for the board members. This is an important matter. However, we will take action once we get our two new board members online, which I think we're expecting in the June meeting, if I'm not mistaken. I think those our two members go before county council in May, and they will therefore join our group there. So we will prepare for their arrival, good board orientation, and then we'll also organize our education. But the subjects that we particularly want to focus on, because they've been very impactful in previous discussions, particularly with finance, are not necessarily in order of priority, but number one, revenue cycle. And then number two would be federal and state reimbursement policies, who the funder is, what are the restrictions to the funding, and the timing that we normally would expect, and the timing that we might expect beyond the norm if it's different from judging from past considerations. Number three is the Civilian Review Board, and I'm going to ask James Welland to maybe describe a little bit more about that topic. I know John Corlett raised questions on it. What do we mean by
yes,
this?
Mr. Chairman, the Civilian Review Board is a board that we have established here at Metro pursuant to an agreement with the Conecuh County Sheriff's Office. And what it does is allow us to have a officer force here. And the Civilian Review Board is charged with reviewing any complaints against any officer that comes in. So we just want to make the board aware of that process, how we handle it, and that would be the educational piece.
Yeah, that will be helpful. And John Corlett, you had indicated particular interest in there. Any thoughts you want to share on how we might approach that subject?
No, I guess I wasn't aware of it until I read about it, excuse me, in Signal, and that it was part of the consent decree that the city of Cleveland negotiated with, I guess, the Justice Department, which I think is in the process of coming undone or whatever. So I guess I just wanted to understand what it was, and also, whether there's any kind of, report to the board on the, the number of complaints we get, the nature of the complaints, or any of that. So.
Yeah, so that would be, actually, that's timely, because I don't think it's been a subject that's been brought forward. Lola, thanks for joining us. Well, let's acknowledge that Lola Garcia, our other committee member, is joining us. We're just talking about information items at this moment for the future, and we've agreed that we're going to wait till our two new board members join us in the June meeting before we schedule any formal education events. So we were just reviewing the 5 subjects that are listed that are before us. And we were talking about the Civilian Review Board, which creates an opportunity for addressing complaints by our Metro Police.
I'm just like John, I wasn't aware we had this until I read it in the paper. I just got to ask, and I won't spend a lot of time on it, but does this come up a lot? Do they meet a lot? Is there a lot of issues? Never?
I think last year, Mr. Moss, we had about 5 complaints.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I asked that at a future meeting we're going to go into a little more detail about this and make sure everybody's comfortable with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you say that a future governance meeting, or do you think a
Future
board
full
meeting?
board, I would like the full board to be aware of, this, so that, because again, we were all ignorant. I didn't know about it either, so it was none of us knew about it. So I think it'd be good for the whole board to hear about it.
Yeah, I would agree.
If I may.
Sure, Dr. Alexander.
So I just wanted to provide a clarifying point. We actually have a police department. So it's not just a matter of a security office, right? That has a mix of police, trained folks. We are actually a police department. And so that's why we would have a civilian review board in the same way that others would and is connected in. So just to make that distinction, because our police officers can make arrests and do a lot of the things that a regular police department would do. So I just wanted to kind of provide that clarity because they haven't always been considered to be a police department at Metro.
I see.
And that may be why, some of these things happen and we just didn't know.
So do you have a sense of when it became formally recognized as a police department?
It was under the chief it was under Chief Bova.
Okay.
So we could find out the exact date.
All right, good. Well, that's a great subject. And then we certainly want to know about it before we need to know about it.
Right.
The item 4 is related entities, and I think part of our responsibilities of governance is to review that annually. And Dr. Alexander or other appointees that serve in these capacities would report to us appropriately. So that will be before us. And finally, just for our own internal effectiveness as board members, is what have we learned on how to use the onboard tool, shortcuts, tricks that could benefit all the rest of us. And some of us are quicker at this and better and more aggressive at experimenting. Although I would say the one thing I have learned is that I'm much more effective when I work within the tool, even during a meeting. In the past, I've created my own confusion when I've had board materials open independently of the board material, and then I'm looking at it and I'm making annotations, and I have 2 versions going, and it creates a great deal of my confusion. So I think for me, I've learned is to stay within the tool, and it works well, and to learn to use the tool. Lola, while you're here, have you had any stunning epiphany moments with onboard that you could share with us?
No, I mean, I really like it, especially since I participate so much via Zoom. It is nice to be able to have the board book open and be able to review while also like looking at everybody else, so I'm not just like, broke down in a binder. In terms of like ways, I think there are some like navigation kinks that could be worked out. Like sometimes it isn't always the most user-friendly interface, but I think that's the kind of feedback that is probably easier to troubleshoot, and also probably comes from some board education component. I know we did the walkthrough at the board retreat, but even some additional or like a refresher board training on onboard and all the components would be helpful.
Good. Any other board members have any remarkable discoveries? I know we had intended to figure out how to use the AI tool as a summary tool for members who are not here, so that they could, at their convenience, then quickly see what happened. Have we had any experience elsewhere with that? Other committees?
And no, we haven't. And I think that is something that I haven't talked to Dr. Walker about this yet. I think we want to bring how the hospital is using AI. And then, so how we're using AI to help our professionals in the hospital. But at the same time, we also want to be mindful of the compliance as we bring AI into the fold. So that is why we probably haven't like really engaged in it, because we want to make sure that we're compliant with everything before we move into that space. So Brendan, would you agree in talking to Sarah? I think.
I do agree with that. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not already using AI tools. So we have an enterprise version of Copilot that is utilized to help prepare many of the board materials. And again, that keeps all information within our ecosystem, our system.
So I just went to the AI tool in Onboard and I wrote, summarize this meeting. This is not a complex meeting. So its summary is pretty cut and dried. You could probably get the same thing by looking at the agenda. But other meetings we have, committee meetings, are much more complex. So it's a reminder that it's pretty straightforward. All righty, let's move on to updates on board appointments. 2B on the information items. John Corlett and I yesterday had the privilege of addressing county council, and they voted to approve our reappointment. So we look forward to continued service here. John, you have any thoughts on the experience?
It was a good experience. Good experience. We had good feedback. I thought we had a lot of support from the council members. So
Congratulations.
And I would say I took a moment to exercise an education experience for the three, well, I guess there were 4 county council members. I wanted them to know about the board's seriousness about the 10 policies we have, particularly in light of recent experiences 06 and 07, which is CEO compensation and delegation of authority. Those have been 2 items of misunderstanding or friction between the board and the administration. And I wanted the county council to understand we wanted to take advantage of what we learned and look carefully at those 2 particular policies to make sure they reflect the responsibilities that we have. They were not enthusiastic about receiving. It was probably one of the duller that they have heard. But I thought it was important that they know that we took our responsibility seriously and that these 10 policies are under review and based on the experience we have. So they didn't even comment about it. It was my recollection. We moved on, and anyway, they voted for us anyway. But I think part of our opportunity as board members is to educate county council on how we do business. And they don't know. They often come to conclusions for extraneous information that comes up them from other sources. So I know that as a new member, I feel an opportunity to improve my performance. So I seized the moment. They may not invite me back based on that look, nevertheless. Now, we also look forward to having Dr. James Campbell and Gail Long join us in June. They will stand before the County Council Human Resource Committee this coming May. And we, of course, we know both these folks. Some of you know them very well. I know of Dr. Campbell just through meeting him, I think casually here, and I know Gail Long usually sat behind me for years, right? So 25 years
Well, I'm on the board because of her.
Really?
Yeah. From 30 years ago when I was on the ethics committee, she called and got me appointed to the ethics committee.
Interesting. So both of those 2 new members bring a lot of knowledge to us. And our opportunity is to learn from them and figure out how we can benefit. But they also will have different expectations of duties that they're less accustomed to. Probably not Gail, since she's observed all this, I suspect. But Dr. Campbell will now have some fiduciary duties that he probably is aware of, but maybe not accustomed to. So we'll look forward to helping him understand his role. And that'll start in June. So our next item really deals with the review and updates to the Human Resource Compensation Committee Charter. Mr. Sork, would you care to walk us through that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Metro's Metro Health's board bylaws charge the governance committee with reviewing all committee charters from time to time and supporting the review of proposed updates to those committee charters. And so today before us, we have a non-substantive update to the charter for the Human Resources and Compensation Committee, intended to capture a naming change to Metro Health's at-risk compensation plan. Recently, the plan previously known as performance-based variable compensation was updated, and the resulting plan will be known as the at-risk compensation or ARC plan. These non-substantive proposed changes are shown as track changes within the governance committee meeting book today so that the committee may easily review the language that is being changed, and it's being shown now. Later in the meeting, we'll ask the governance committee to recommend these proposed changes for inclusion in the full board's consent agenda at next week's board meeting. Are there any questions from the committee?
So just to clarify, so the term performance-based variable compensation is out, at-risk compensation, known as ARC, is in.
Correct.
And that's really the only change, I think, that's before us. Any question from any board members, committee members? John, Harry, Lola, John?
Nope.
Seeing none?
I was gonna say, we worked through this in the committee as well, so we're in support of it as well.
I'm good.
So as Brendan pointed out, our formal action, we have two formal actions, one of which will be to recommend these changes, which will go on the consent agenda at next week's board meeting, I'm guessing?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
alrighty. So at this moment, we'd like to adjourn to executive session. We're going to discuss hospital trade secrets as defined by Ohio Revised Code 1333.61, and to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public official, and to conference with the public body's attorneys to discuss disputes involving the public body that are subject of pending or imminent court action as defined by Ohio Revised Code 121.22, Chapter G. So we're not going to discuss all of these subjects, actually very, very limited. So at this point, I would like to call the roll to vote to move into executive session. Lola Garcia. Looks like she stepped off. So Dr. Walker?
Oh, no,
Yes.
it put me in the breakout room. So I
Yeah,
had
I
to
put
come
her
back.
out. And
Oh,
But I think I have to vote.
sorry. So you, anyway, I'll call your name again. So do you vote to move into executive session?
Yes. Aye.
And Dr. Walker?
Yes.
And I, Mike Summers, vote aye. So we now will adjourn into executive session.
Now I'll move everything.
All right, so we'll
are now back. We are back in public session. Mr.
All right,
Summers.
welcome members. This is now the public session of the board. We have two items on our agenda that require formal action of the governance committee. The first is the approval of the Human Resource and Compensation Committee charter updates, which are really changes in name only of some compensation programs. Do I hear a motion to approve the approval of the committee charter updates as presented?
So moved.
So moved. Lola, do you second?
She said yes.
Lola seconds. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the charter updates, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
All right. So the vote is 3-0. The motion carries. The charter updates are approved. That will then go on the board consent agenda next week. The second item is the approval of changes in a nonprofit affiliation regarding Recovery Resources and our withdrawal as the sole member. Do I hear a motion to approve the resolution with that intent?
So moved.
Dr. Walker, Lola, you second it? So it's been moved and seconded that the resolution to approve the change in our nonprofit affiliation with Recovery Resources be recommended to the full board. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of these changes signify by saying aye or raising your hands.
Aye.
So the ayes have it, and those this resolution is also going to be part of the consent agenda. If there's no further business to come before the governance committee, we will adjourn. Our next meeting, I think, is June 6th, if I'm not mistaken. So thank you one and all for your participation and your input. This meeting stands adjourned.